Clay Clark.
All right, thank you. All right, does everybody have a note-taking device? Okay. Kind of today, I want to just get an idea here. How many people in the room would like to start a business at some point? That's something that you aspire to do. Okay, who here does not want to start a business at any point? Not your thing. You're just kind of here hanging out. It's okay. Okay. All right, it was okay. And as far as people here that are wanting to start a business, does anybody here, by show of hands, who knows what form of business they want to get into? Maybe what industry or what niche do you want to do? Okay, okay. I'm going to pick on you, ma'am, there with the fabulous red hair. You. Yes. What kind of business do you want to start? Real estate? Okay. And what would be the goal of your business? Like, let's just pretend utopia. That, like when I started my business, I was 17, I was at my house in Minnesota, and I started this business, and it kept growing. My goal was to not be poor. That was my number one activity. And I didn't grow up super poor, but you know, all the boxes were the generic brands. You know what I'm saying? We definitely, went to the dollar movie quite a bit. Definitely, just everything was kind of more of a chore. So finances dictated things. But what is your goal? Like, if you start your business, what would be the goal of the business?
Well, I would want to start my real estate firm, and of course, I would want to make money. I kind of grew up in the same situation too.
And let's say that it makes money. How much money?
A lot.
Well, I'm just asking. Okay, I'm just trying to get. And let's just say that you have all the money that you could possibly want. Let's say that you make, a very nice income. What do you want to do with that money?
I would, of course, for myself, nice things, but I would want to help my mom and my sisters.
So.
That would be my goal, to help my mom and my sisters really, more than myself.
Now, I hate to pick on you particularly, but just a kind of question for everybody. If you could just take a second and just write down for a second. If you do want to start a business, write down what kind of business it is. If you know what it is, just write it down, okay? Thoughts are things, so we need to write them down here. Thoughts are things. Okay, write it down. What you want to do, what kind of business that you would like to have. It doesn't really matter, there's no right or wrong, just what kind of business or what kind of career you want to have, okay? And then I want you to write why, the reason why. You don't have to write a long, dissertation. You don't have to use MLA format, thank God, okay? But you do have to write it down. Okay, so why? Why do you want to do it? And then once you write down why, I want you to write down, you said because you wanted to be able to make, a good amount of money. But then I want you to write down, peel it back one more layer, and why do you want to make a good amount of money? Or if you said, well, I want to have a business because I want to work for myself. Why? Okay? So break it down 2 levels. Why and then why again. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because business is kind of like water skiing. It's kind of my analogy I like to use. But you're water skiing, you're feeling pretty good, your buddies are like, hey man, you're pretty awesome, let's go faster, so your dudes are cranking it up to, they go up 5 miles an hour faster, and you're like, stop, seriously, stop, you're going to kill me, and they're like, he wants faster, he wants it faster, so they crank it up, and you keep holding on to the skis and stuff, and you like lose one ski, and they're like, oh, he's a show-off, he's crazy, he's going with 1 foot, baby, you lose that one, you're barefoot, and then what happens is then you hit the bottom, you hit the water, and for some reason you're sick, you pull your arms out of socket, but you're still holding on to those bad boys. Okay, so you're holding on to the rope still, and then all of a sudden, amazingly, you pull yourself back up. Some people cheer, some people boo, but everyone's like, I cannot believe we just saw a barefoot crash / re-up, unbelievable, right? That's what running the business is like, but you're holding on to your why. The reason why you started the business is what you hold on to the whole time. Does that make sense? So like for me, not being poor was enough of a passion for me to want to work. I actually did a wedding in Dallas and a wedding in Minneapolis within 24 hours of each other, no sleep, and then came back to Tulsa and did another one because a guy called in sick, you know what I'm saying? A why is our website's top in Google. If you type in Tulsa DJs, right? But it took like 100 pages of erroneous, crazy text and all these ways to figure out how not to optimize your website before I figured out how to. And if your why is not meaningful, you will quit.